country.
That's it, man.
Anthony's in Cleveland, fresh from a Dubai trip.
Yeah. Getting ready to head back to Atlanta.
How was that Cavs game last night?
It was cool. It was, it was the last game of the season, so it wasn't really like LeBron probably played the first quarter, and that was it.
Gotcha.
And plus when they found out that the Bucks was getting trampled by Philly, then they really just kind of called off the Hogs, and because the Cavs wouldn't have lost to the Knicks, man. That was just
Oh yeah.
There's no way they would have lost to the Knicks.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we are live. Thank you, InvestorFuse community, real estate investors who are on watching this. We're probably going to wait a minute until we get some more viewers on here, but I'm pleasured and privileged to have Anthony Epps, Qasim Aslam, Greg Bilbrough, and this is going to be a fun live interview. Qasim and Greg have a digital marketing company, GeoFlip, and they started working with Anthony, I guess, end of October, November, maybe. I don't know exactly when you guys got inked up together. But today we're going to do a first quarter case study of those first 90 days of GeoFlip and Anthony working together. And I will open it up as well if you guys want to introduce yourselves. Go ahead and be my guest. And thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Greg, why don't you go
I'm
first?
Anthony Epps out of Atlanta, Georgia. Wholesaler. That's what we love to do, and that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And just looking to grow and get into other avenues as well. But wholesaling has been my bread and butter for the last 10 years.
Anthony, I interrupted you, man. I'm sorry. This is Qasim. It rhymes with awesome because my dad wanted me beat up in high school. I'm a digital marketer and Greg's partner. We've been working with Anthony here, and he's the man of the hour. He's really the one we're here to celebrate. He makes us look good. So I'm excited to talk about that.
No, y'all make me look good.
Is it my turn, Carlos?
Yep. Last but certainly not least, Greg Bilbrough.
My name is Greg Bilbrough, business partners with Qasim. We met Anthony, I think, last summer in San Diego at the InvestorFuse Mastermind, which was awesome. You guys did a really good job. My role at GeoFlip predominantly is launch it, grow it, sell it, and put out fires for the most part. And I've known Qasim for probably a better part of 10 years. Qasim and I have done a handful of startups, handful of technology plays. He and I have been flipping houses for quite some time in the Phoenix Scottsdale marketplace and been doing pretty good. And we enjoy, let me actually say that differently. We love working with legit producers, guys like Anthony, who just need some more rocket fuel. It's fun to give those guys rocket fuel. It's fun to watch them perform and do what they do. So we've had a lot of good experiences and good times over the last 4, 5, 6 months with Anthony as we watch him develop and grow and grow his business and hopefully 2X his business here pretty soon.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been exciting to watch, and it was awesome to see you guys link together and really fulfill that need that Anthony had. So tell me a little bit, guys, and this kind of, Anthony's the man of the hour, but all you guys can jump in here. Tell me a bit about where Anthony was at and where he's gone since working with you guys. Started like that beginning stage where I know he's sending out a bunch of mail.
Yeah, I'll go. I probably know some of those numbers maybe a little bit better, and Anthony obviously chime in. But when I had met Anthony, it's kind of funny. Anthony is a rather large and imposing, good-looking young man, I might add. But I remember I was sitting there. I think I was on the boat.
You were on the boat, yeah.
I was on the boat, and Anthony comes and walking up, and I'm just like looking at this monster of a man, and he's all, "Hey, can I sit next to you?" And I'm all, "Yes, sir."
Dead on Anthony too, by the way. That impression.
And so, anyways, Anthony sat down, and essentially what he said was, he's like, "Dude, I'm the real deal. I heard what you guys said. I think I need what you got." I mean, basically, it was as simple as that. So we started talking shop. At the time, I think, if I remember correctly, Anthony, that previous 12 months, had done, well, I don't know, should we share his numbers? I mean, is that like, is that part of it? Yeah, I think he had done about 50 deals in that year. So I remember thinking about one a week. I think you had just barely, we're just shy of about $1 million in gross rev. You were in that range. And and I spent, I think you had said $9,000 a week in direct mail. Is that?
It was roughly around there. You know, I was spending anywhere from $7,000 to $9,000 a week, roughly. You know, so you factor a budget around 30 to 35 grand a month. You know.
Yep. And so those are all just, I mean, those are fantastic numbers. Those are the kinds of numbers and the situation that we're just very good at. I mean, those are, it's like the perfect thing for us. And so Anthony was a blessing in disguise. And after a few minutes, I determined that I thought we could help the guy and in a good way. And so far, everything that we've done, it seems to work pretty well. And everything he's done, he's pulled more than his weight. So I had told Anthony, and I really mean this, brother, this is something that I take to heart because I remember I said it, and you're doing your part and we're doing our part. But I remember one of the things I wanted to do with Anthony is 2X his business. And so going from 900K to $1.8 million in a year or two is my focus. That's where I want to go. That's what I think we can do. That's I think an attainable goal. And Anthony was like, "Yep, let's do it." And he's not scared of bigger numbers and not scared of hard work. So that's really something that I pay attention to. I remember saying it. I remember thinking it, and it's as important to me right now as it was 6 months ago when we met him.
Greg, you weren't on the line, but Anthony, in writing, said that if we make him $1 million, we all go to Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. Right.
Cool.
Hey, I'm with it.
So what else did you need from me, Los? I don't remember what the question was.
Yeah, I mean that's a good breakdown. That's a good breakdown, including the numbers there as far as what he was spending in marketing, gross revenue for the year, close to $1 million. How many deals he was doing, almost one per week there. You saw that need that he had, or I guess he could have benefited from working with you guys. So I guess maybe Cosmo will take over here. What was kind of your game plan? You see these numbers. You hear that you see this attractive, big-looking guy on the boat, deep voice. He tells you these numbers. As a digital marketer, what's the game plan? What was matriculating through Cosmo's head there?
I wasn't as swept away with Anthony as Greg was. Greg was, full-on man crush, and I approach everything with a healthy degree of skepticism because the joke that I make to myself anyways, Greg makes promises and then Cosmo keeps those promises. So what was interesting, here's the truth, and hopefully nobody minds me saying this, we're not going to make anybody a better real estate investor, right? Like you have to come with that set of skills, and Anthony had that set of skills. And that was any new client that we have, I'm always a little worried. I'm always a little worried that, hey, if we do make it rain, are they going to be able to perform? And Anthony just it wasn't even a question. It was the minute the leads landed, because we have Kevin who works with us too. He's really helpful in terms of being like feet on the street and letting people know. Like Kevin updates our clients when leads come, and Anthony was updating. He was getting to Kevin before Kevin was getting to Anthony in some instances, which is impressive because Kevin's on it. Atlanta is a great geography for us because it has some sprawl, which is really helpful with PPC. But to answer your question directly, Carlos, from a strategic standpoint, I think one of the reasons that we were as successful as we were in the very beginning is because we're able to focus. We don't deal with multiple clients in the same geography. We offer exclusivity to anybody that signs up with any particular geography. So Anthony is the only client we have in Atlanta, which means that every single data point we're collecting, every action we take, every dollar we spend is being spent on Anthony's behalf. So instead of diluting the efficacy of the marketing campaigns across multiple assets, we've got all our eggs in one basket. We've got this one asset. And it's dangerous to do because if the asset doesn't perform, then it's really hard to figure out where the non-performance lies. Is it with us or is it with the investor? But when the investor does perform, what's cool about that is you get to quantify the levels of success in accordance with where you're seeing it. So we do what's called value-based conversion optimization. So every single time Anthony would get a lead and say, hey, this is a good lead, we now get to go back and inform our mechanism that, hey, this is working, this was a good lead, let's try to find more leads like that. And this isn't even something that we do. This is something that Google allows for. It has a $1 billion AI engine. So if we can come back to Google and say this is what works and this is what doesn't, then that in conjunction with some of our manual optimization helps make the marketing campaign just more and more efficient. And I think Anthony started to see that the campaign gets better over time, and it gets better based off of his feedback. So you've got like this really awesome value-driven feedback loop that, I mean, we're 90 days into it, and if Anthony doesn't mind me sharing, I think we're about to break $250,000, right, in gross revenue.
Because I told Greg and Kevin, one of my deals I just inked up was going to be another 80K spread.
Yeah, so you just can't make that up. Either it works or it doesn't. What we did worked, what Anthony did worked, and that alignment is a gold mine. And I don't want to oversell it. It doesn't happen every time. It has for us so far, but that's because we're small. We're only in 9 geos, Greg?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but so the strategy really is to deploy and then start to, it's a lot like a diagnostician. You're like a doctor. You just come in there and you start to see where it hurts. And with Anthony, it was awesome because it never hurt. It was just always like it just started to run.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And those 80K deals, it's interesting how we have a sales operating expert with Bill Bro and then digital marketing expert with Qasim, because there's a lot of variables that go into being able to get those 80K spreads. Oh, yeah. And probably half of that equation is the sales part, which comes with negotiating, knowing your market, knowing your buyers, things like that as well.
It all encompasses with that. That's right.
Awesome. So I love hearing about 80K deals. I'm sure our viewers do as well. Do we want to get specific into the deal case studies and even like how the leads came in, what the leads were like when they came in, how you monetize them, everything like that? The floor is your guys. You guys have a ton of value to add here, so the floor is definitely your guys.
Okay.
I want to interrupt if I may. I want to interrupt because this is Anthony's time, but this piece should go right in front of it. And Anthony knows this, and it's important. You only get to 80K deals if you treat every single lead like it's the last lead in your life. You got to treat every lead like it's 80K, not the 80K lead. So the reason why Anthony has 2 80K deals inside his first 90 days, not 1 but 2, is because every single time his phone wiggles, he's thinking that's a lead, he's thinking that's 80K. Now, obviously, what I mean by that, obviously, is figuratively. I mean, a big deal. He doesn't let any lead slip through the cracks. He doesn't demote leads based off of various things on the phone. He's constantly focused on how do I get myself in front of this seller, if you will, and truly assess what the real value of this house is and or the seller's circumstances. So I just wanted to say that because we don't just print 80K deals that come from the sky, although 2 in 90 days is quite the anomaly. The key is that you got to run your business like every single lead counts, and it's the last one you're ever going to get to put food on the table. And if you start there, the rest happens.
The magic happens, baby. Yeah, just kind of go back to where things were last year. Like I said, we just started doing our PPC campaign. I think we launched in middle of December. And from there, like you said, that within that first week, had knocked down 2 solid deals. That came in as far as leads. We didn't close until obviously later on in January. But I was like, wow, this is great. This is exactly what I've been looking for. Because you know how it goes with, you can do your direct mail, and, there's so many, irons in the fire with that, because, they not only got your letter, but they got 10 other people's letters and postcards as well too. So, but when someone goes online and specifically is saying, I'm looking to sell my house, they're not looking for a postcard. They're looking for someone who can pick up the phone, or when they fill out that lead form, or chat with I love that chat feature, man. That's awesome. That is, I love that thing, because you can kind of get into the true essence of someone's motivation, because they're coming to you. And so we try to make sure that we capture, like Greg said, we make sure we get a hold of them. And in the beginning, it was more or less me taking those calls and making sure, any email that came. That's why Kevin would make sure he texts me and say, hey, new lead. Is because, sometimes if those leads come through my email, I don't necessarily get notifications from emails. But since then, my virtual assistants have been really great at capturing those email leads, and they get to them. Before I even get to them, which is great. And they'll call them and talk to the lead and schedule the appointment. And in some regards, I'll even call that lead if just based on what I'm reading. If it's a pretty hot deal, I'm going to jump on that phone right then and there and see if I can make something happen. Like for instance, this previous or this most recent deal came in on a Friday. This last second 80 deal that we just put under contract, that lead came in on a Friday, and I was meeting the guy Saturday morning at his house.
Wow. And
inked it up, put on the contract, and I had it under contract with the buyer on Monday.
That's awesome.
So, and it just happens like that, and like you said, Greg, every deal is not going to be 80K, but you got to treat every lead like that, because you just never know, whether it, and I'm always expanding my horizon as to how I can better monetize this lead. It may not be an on all cash scenario. Maybe it's a, wrap mortgage, or maybe it's a, hey, let me see if I can just put an option contract on this property, and let's see if I can sell it. If I can sell it with no obligation on my end, that's a win as well too. That was actually going to be one of my strategies for this another lead that came in. It came in last week. In my mind, I didn't think I really could move it just based on where the numbers were. So I was going to contemplate just doing an option agreement and just see if I could maybe sell it like that. But I actually ended up putting it under contract, and actually did get a buyer for it. So that was a good deal. So subject to type of scenarios where I'm coming in, seeing if I can take over payments. If that's an opportunity, I'll explore that as well too. So I'm looking to always see how I can monetize that particular lead when it comes in.
Good stuff.
But,
yeah, that's a great nugget. That's a great nugget to take away too. To cut in for a second, you really have to have that mindset of treating every lead like it can be a huge 50, 60, 70K spread assignment there.
That's right.
Can I piggyback on that for a second, just with an observation? I'm not a real estate guy. I'm a digital guy. So everything that I say about real estate is probably going to be, elementary. But what I've noticed with the partners we have that are the most successful, Anthony's one. We've got partners in Portland and Seattle that are really crushing it. They have multiple avenues for monetization. Anthony just mentioned, like, I had this strategy with this guy, but I could do that if I wanted to, and I ended up doing this. The folks that I see that are killing it are people that have multiple tools in their tool belt. We've got some folks that only do one thing. They only do wholesaler. They only do flip. They only do buy and hold. And that's fine. And they're still making money. They're successful. But the people that are doing, like, Greg talks about the golden ratio. The people whose golden ratio is, we've got a partner whose golden ratio is 1 to 12. Anthony, I think your golden ratio is up there.
Yeah.
The people with really high golden ratios are ones who have a ton of different exit strategies, because you can monetize more deals. You can do more things. There's just more opportunity to make money.
Yes,
so,
right.
Yeah, it's just something I was thinking about. You made me think about that because
it's something I'm steady learning, even as I go, just to make sure that I don't leave any lead that's unturned, that I couldn't make something happen with that particular seller. And everyone's gonna fit into a certain bucket, but at least you make the opportunity. And I thought I was gonna get this condo in Buckhead over the weekend. Oh, actually, it was just a couple days ago, but hey, the seller, he was like, you know what, he couldn't necessarily take what I was offering him right here and there, but who knows? Maybe he'll call me in a month, and if the other buyer doesn't pan out, maybe he will, touch base back with me. But I like the types of leads that I do get, because they're good quality, and they're probably in scenarios that under normal circumstances I wouldn't have gotten just from a regular direct mail per se.
Yeah. And what do you do with that lead that goes soft on you? Do you have like a normal follow-up system or process, or is it kind of just based off your sales intuition?
Well, when the leads come in, my VAs, they'll put them in Podio and in the investor fuse and set it up with the follow-up sequence. I know how we have it set up, the leads that when they actually come directly into Podio, they don't get set up on the regular call flow or the regular lead flow follow-up sequences. So we were trying to work on a way to where we could allow that to happen, but we just haven't gotten to that point as of yet. So right now we're just manually, they'll go in and do follow-up calls, and and occasionally I may jump in every so often to reach back to a seller that I may have visited, or maybe just follow back up with them just to see if anything changed. But for the most part, the VAs, they take care of the follow-ups.
Yeah, that's awesome. That investor fuse, the redemption track you guys have, that's rock solid too. I'm glad you're using that.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna go run out and get my charger because I'm on 1% on my computer, and I'll be right back.
That's good.
That's how good this conversation is. We just drained his computer all the way down.
Awesome. So someone who's looking into get digital marketing going, I feel like a lot of people have tried it. I get a lot of feedback that some people aren't happy with their digital marketing efforts, whether they did it themselves or hired somebody else. Not GeoFlip.
Yeah. No, I'm being funny. Yeah, nobody's happy with their digital marketing.
Touch a little bit on that, guys. And I mean, Greg, I can't remember exactly your digital marketing efforts prior to working with Cosm, if there were any, but you guys can definitely touch on that.
Well, the smartest digital marketing move I ever made was calling Cosm 5-6 years ago saying, hey, dude, can you help me figure out digital marketing? That was my brilliance and my expertise. And as soon as he said, yeah, I got this, I stepped out and let the magician do what he does. I will qualify it, though, a little bit. My call point, I'm calling large investors, wholesalers, flippers, all day. That's what I do. I call these guys and gals and entities and talk to them about their marketing and ask them what's going on. And I will say, I don't know if I could say uniformly, but the percentage is just really close to 100%. I don't know if I know really anybody I can point to right now in the whole country that has a digital marketing solution such that it is efficient and or consistent and or profitable and or a major or big piece of their income. In other words, nobody's doing digital marketing that I know of in the whole damn country well, because I don't know anybody that's making bucks consistently every single month. Sure, you get a random lead from wherever and you flip it and it works, but that's not a system. That's not consistent. That's not a process. And so those are anomalies. That's not what I'm talking about. If you talked with a guy like Anthony 6 months ago, hey, tell me about your marketing, he had a really good answer. I spend 6 to 8K per week. I do this many things. I do this many mailers. I flip this many houses and I make this much money. When you ask people, tell me about your digital marketing, here's what I have seen and what I've heard of, which has been a lot of, and it's what I do all day, every day. It doesn't work. The other thing I hear is, oh yeah, we tried that and we spent fill in a big amount of money here in that sentence, dollars, and it didn't work. There's one group on the East Coast that I know of right now. They spent $25,000 in digital marketing in 5.5 months. They made $0.
Wow.
Another group, I want to say in Dallas, or maybe, I don't know. There's another group I know that has done it Ohio. He's done it for a year. And he says that I think he's flipped about 5 deals or so in a year. But this guy does 20 deals a month.
Wow.
So he's done 5 deals in a year with his traditional marketing. 5 deals in a year with this digital marketing, but he's doing 20 a month with what he knows how to do, which is traditional marketing. In other words, it's like a sliver, a percentage or half a percentage of his entire marketing. And you know what he ended up telling me? Yeah, it's so inefficient, it doesn't work. So he's not doing it. So it's interesting, and I have to kind of temper myself because I get sort of excited. But we have like this really interesting thing that works consistently in every single city that we've done it in. And there's levers that we can pull on to fix it, adjust it, tweak it, make it more efficient over time as we get smaller. Yet I can't find a second example of somebody who makes the bulk of their money with digital marketing. So I just say that because it kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
It really just blows my mind. There's 1,000 digital marketers out there, and there's 1,000 digital marketing solutions, and there's 1,000 super smart flippers just like Anthony who are really bright people who do know how to figure stuff out. There are these people that are they don't allow little points of resistance in life to stagnate their ability to grow or persevere. They get through hard things. Yet digital marketing has stumped 100% of 100% of the people I've called.
Wow.
So it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting seat for me to sit in because we've got this super cool thing that works, but everybody's convinced, like the Loch Ness Monster, it's not real.
Well, I can definitely attest that it's real. I mean, just honestly, in this week, I mean, shoot, man, I'm getting like I probably got at least 3 leads a day just in this past week, you know, and that's strong. You know, I'm loving it because it gives us options, you know, because my acquisition guy, he put one of them under contract this week. So that was pretty good. And like I said, we're still in the process of want to visit some of these other leads that called in, and you know, even myself, I may jump on the phone and just be like, hey, saw you called in, or you put in a lead form. Hey, what can we do to lock this deal down today? Like, what do you? Let's get to it. You know. So I'm excited about, like you said, just with the deal flow and the quality of it as well.
Absolutely. And Bill, to touch on a comment you made earlier, that story of like spending $25K and not getting any deals, that is an absolute horror story. And I feel like some people almost have like, some operators almost have like a PTSD syndrome towards digital marketing efforts where they try it, they may stick their toes in, they don't do any deals, they don't like their return that they get, and they're just completely turned off by it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of common to what I've seen.
I have another example, a client that we have recently onboarded. I think we're going hopefully live with their campaign in the next few days. So we haven't began. We've been doing what we do behind the scenes and under the hood to get ready to launch. But this particular group, it's an awesome group. I think they flipped almost 50 houses in the preceding 12 months from when I met them. And I met them, I was introduced to them, I want to say, let's call it 2 months ago. So they're doing about one a week, which is a big organization. It's 3 of them. I think it's 2 owners. And then they have kind of like a right-hand guy, and they're well-oiled. They know their stuff. They're in 3 different cities. Whenever I'm talking to flippers / wholesalers that are able to flip houses and do this business not in their city, that's another level of sophistication. We've done it. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It comes with a whole bunch of pros and cons and a whole bunch of gotchas that it's a whole new skill. But this particular group is flipping in 3 different cities, and they're doing it real well. They're a well-oiled machine. They're in a good spot where they're ready to ramp up their marketing. They're ready to spend more money. They're knowledgeable. I think the owner of this fix and flip shop did 17 years in investment banking. So doing mergers and acquisitions, I mean, that's about as sophisticated as it gets when it comes to like business and money and marketing and ratios and metrics and all that other good stuff. So it's not like you're going to pull a fast one by that guy. And he's a really smart guy. This is what he told me. I think he had hired another digital marketing firm. I don't remember exactly the numbers, but I think they spent like $3,000 or $4,000 a month for 4 months. And so those numbers I don't know exactly, but the number I do know exactly is they got 0, not 0 deals, not 0 profit. They got 0 leads,
wow.
Like in 120 days. How do you get 0 leads? I don't even know how that happens. And so they thought, like, how can they spend, $10 or whatever, $20,000 in many months with another shop, another group in the country who is a digital marketer. They're not a slouch. I mean, they're no dummy. They know how to do digital marketing per their website. 0 leads. I mean, it's like they got robbed. So one of the things I tell my clients is, I can assure you we put our name behind what we do, but the most expensive thing I've ever heard of is definitely not our fee. The most expensive thing I've ever heard of is spending $5 or $10 or $20 or $30,000 to get 0. I don't know if any of y'all are mathmaticians, but try to put in your calculator any number, divide by 0. Let me know how that rate of return turns out.
That's right. Not good at all.
I think on Excel it should say, instead of divide with that little exclamation, it should just say good, homie.
You can't do it. That's not even an equation you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, you guys are definitely making a footprint. And I'm just glad. I mean, because I've tried another digital company in the past, and it just didn't. At the time, this is probably maybe a year and a half ago when I was trying to do it, and I just didn't feel it was going to be the right fit. So I decided not to really get in bed with them at all. So, and and then when I saw you guys, met you guys at the mastermind in October, I was like, you know what? Hey, these guys seem like they know what they're doing. Let me make sure, see if I can get this thing going. So, but like it was one of the best decisions I made, from a standpoint of getting those other types of leads to come in. Because we can, we'll still do our normal channels of marketing, but this just adds, like you said, it adds that rocket fuel to supercharging.
Anthony, something I'll chime in on with something that I don't know if you knew this when you were making that decision, but it ties to some of the brilliance of something that my partner Qasim said probably a year or two ago. It's a concept that once I say it, everybody that's listening will say, oh yeah, duh, of course, that's obvious. But right now, if you're in my seat making all these calls, what I'm about to say is either unknown or not obvious, or I don't know, fill in the blank. But here's the analogy. If you have a medical problem, everybody goes to a doctor. But if you have a heart problem, you go to a cardiologist, not a doctor.
Right.
If you have a brain problem, you go to a neurologist. In other words, this concept of specialization. When I was younger, like early 20s, I'm sure like many young 20-something-year-old bucks, we think we know everything. Something I did not know was just how important it is to hire an attorney when you need an attorney that specializes in the field of whatever it is that you're trying to do. A DUI attorney is very different than a patent law attorney. And so attorneys are just not attorneys. Well, something that's interesting in digital marketing is digital marketers are not digital marketers. You need a specialist. And how do I know this? I got a dozen spreadsheets and settlement statements and 5 years of tax returns to suggest it. The idea of a heart surgeon doing brain surgery is called malpractice. You go to jail, right? You go to jail, son. Don't pass go if you don't get $200.
That's right.
But in digital marketing, what's interesting is anybody can slap on their website, we do digital marketing. And I'm sure they do. This is not to disparage. I'm not even a digital marketer. I'm a real estate guy. So I don't have I'm not trying to argue one way or the other. The idea, though, is that everybody understands specialization in medicine. And everybody understands specialization with the example of like a lawyer. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you right now, and we didn't know this either as much as we know it today. So we were also ignorant in this a couple years ago. But when Qasim said, I think I really want to specialize and become a super brilliant mega rock star in a niche or two, rather than a holistic digital marketer, that was a change and a shift that he made in his business model. And now that I hear now that the words that he said have sank into me, I've digested them and seen 24 months worth of what we've done, and other digital marketers take people's money and not produce a return on investment. What I have found is other digital marketers are not bad people, and other digital marketers are not incompetent. It is a misappropriation, or it's a poor decision to not hire a specialist. And that, I think, is one of the biggest ahas that I've learned in the last 12 months is any digital marketer can do digital marketing. But inside a specific niche with predictable results like we've got, that's a whole nother level. It's called a specialist. And that's what we are.
I agree. You guys definitely specialize in it. I can tell you that.
If somebody asks me, do you do digital marketing for anything other than wholesalers and flippers? The answer is no, obviously. But I really don't. I don't know anything about that. Like I would have no idea how to generate leads for a plumber or a dentist or whatever. Fill in the blank. I mean, no clue, because I know my numbers in real estate so well. I really do know if you spend $1, what's going to happen. and how likely that result is going to be. But once you put me in a different room, a different box, like a plumber or a dentist or a lawyer, I would have no idea how to do digital marketing. When it comes to residential real estate, nobody in the country that I'm aware of, and I'm ready to have some phone calls and some emails, nobody knows our space and our numbers as well as we do. And the other thing I will mention is that when we screw something up, we see it right away, and we know how to not screw that thing up like a second time. We really are good at catching errors in advance of or during the error, because marketing is a process. So if whatever you're doing today might be not the most efficient thing in the world, but what we found is because people don't have a system in place, really like a feedback loop, they don't catch that mistake for like 1 or 2 or 3 months worth of marketing budget. So if your marketing budget's like $5,000 and you find the mistake, the inefficiency 90 days later, that's a $15,000 mistake. When we screw something up, I find out about it inside 7 days. So we aren't inefficient for longer than 6 days. When we're not spending money the right way, when something's not converting the right way, when there's a bug in our system, in our marketing system, we catch it inside 7 days, which is really cool.
That is cool. I love the accountability that you guys have with your clients like Anthony. Both that accountability towards yourselves as the marketer, and then also reviewing, like golden ratio sales numbers with your clients as well, seeing how many leads came in. We could probably talk about Anthony's cost per deal going back a little bit, what his cost per deal was with mail, what cost per deal is, first of all, for those listening that don't know, what his cost per deal was just doing mail and how that's got progressively lower working with you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Anthony, you probably know your old numbers. Let me look up your new numbers.
That question scared Anthony off. He was like, "Hop on."
Yeah, he was jetted. Yeah, awesome stuff, guys. And for those of you who are listening, Qasim and Greg are both featured on our masterclass for REI marketing. The link there is below, reimarketingmasterclass.com. Definitely check that out. Anthony's back on right in time to tell us about his cost per deal when he's doing mail.
Yeah. Whatever, blacked out on me, man.
Anthony, how many subject to deals have you done total?
With you guys, we just got the one so far. Actually, let me see. Yeah, just the one. Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So when you close your other one, I think you've got 4. So do you have 4 or 5 total deals with us so far?
Well, in total, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be around 6. I think it's got to be around 6.
Okay.
3. We got 3 just in this. Well, actually, 3 in the past week that have A to Bs. Have BCs on them already, and buyers. And then we just got the other one, a new A to B this week also. So that'll be a 4th one. But then in January, like I said, January we had 2, and then I had we closed another one in February. That was the subject too. So we got about 6. And honestly, I project I'm probably gonna, before the end of this month, we'll probably get another 2 or 3 before the end of this month, just from the PPC leads.
So just some rough numbers then. If I just do your marketing divided by the deals, that would be 20K divided by 8. 2,500K or $2,500 cost per deal from his marketing budget. I think Anthony's original cost per deal was between 6 and 8K.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there. Yeah, it was pretty high.
And cost per deal is like, that's where I hang out. It's all about cost per deal. There's a couple metrics that I feel govern the entire relationship of a marketing solution and that of a wholesale or fix and flip shop. And the golden ratio, I think, is the most important, which basically means every dollar you put in to a system, how many dollars do you get out on the backside? We just call that golden ratio. There's other phrases for it in business and in business schools, but that's just what we call it, golden ratio. The second metric that we find super important is cost per deal. So how many dollars do you have to spend to flip, to do one transaction, to flip one house. And so I think Anthony, when we first met him, he was in the 6 or 8K cost per deal. I've talked to 2 other Atlanta guys just throughout the last 6 months, and probably 3 Denver guys. And I mean, I know a Dallas guy, and I think I know an Orange County guy, and I know a few other people. And it's not uncommon for people to have a cost per deal of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in competitive cities. And so that's really what it's all about. Every single dollar that is below your existing cost per deal is a dollar saved. It's just like in rehab. If you're rehabbing a house and you have a $50,000 budget, but somehow you finish that house for $40,000, which that never happens. But if you did, that's just $10,000 in your pocket, presuming the ARV remains constant, that you didn't shortchange your ARV by not putting in the fancy rehab stuff. In this case, it's the same kind of concept. If you're spending $7,000 to flip one house, and then you hire us, and we deliver a cost per deal of $6,000 to flip one house, that means every single flip you don't have to spend that extra $1,000. If you do that math and reclaim that $1,000 savings, times however many deals you do in a year, and then put that same amount of money back into the existing marketing budget. And I have the spreadsheet. I can share it with whoever. I mean, it's always, every single time I've ran it, it's always a plus 6-figure net result.
Wow.
Just by saving $1,000 or $2,000 on cost per deal with high volume guys. Yeah. A guy who does 50 flips, and if he's at $7,000 cost per deal and he goes down to $5,000 cost per deal, that's $2,000 times 50 flips, which is $100,000 that can go back into marketing. How many houses can you flip with $100,000? Well, the 5K flip cost per deal, it's 20 houses.
20 more houses.
20 grand is $250,000. Boom, right there. So we live and die on these numbers because they work, and we know them real well. And we also know if we're not doing a good job, everybody knows, including our client and including us. So it's a commitment to radical transparency. We don't ever want anybody to say, I think it works. Or maybe it's working, or I'm not sure if it's working. We're going to have the numbers, and everybody's going to see all those numbers.
That's right. And I like the golden ratio, just because it keeps you on track, and it keeps you honest, and also very now you know what you got to work on. If you are not closing as many of those leads that you're getting, then it's kind of like, okay, well, let's find out why we're not closing or getting these leads under contract, and then you can attest to that, and then just work on that aspect of your business. So, but yeah, I definitely like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you like that, man. You helped us make it better.
Absolutely, and for anybody who's listening, who's looking for potentially another digital marketing vendor, I'm curious. So you guys have accountability calls with your clients that you do marketing for. Are these numbers that we were just going over, cost per deal, obviously leads that came in, is this something on like a weekly or bi-weekly meeting that you go through with your clients and provide for them?
It is. We didn't understand or appreciate how important the client accountability phone calls were. What we call the golden ratio calls. We knew they were important, but it's just really shined through just how important it is. Every operator that we know has some strengths and they have some weaknesses. And that goes for geos too. Certain geographies are a little bit more tricky than other geographies. And sometimes you're in a city in different parts of the city. These will have this part of the city will have these characteristics, and this part of the city will have these characteristics. So we study all that. We capture all that. We study all that. We pay attention to that. The golden ratio and the weekly accountability calls allows us every 7 days to see what's not working well. It gives us that opportunity to look at it. They say the first step in change is awareness. So if you measure stuff, we all can see that. So once we see it and we're aware of it, then we can, and it's quantified by definition, it's a number. So now we know if the number's going up or down, and we obviously know which way we want whatever the number is, the direction for it to go. And then what we can do is now we know where the inefficiency lies. And what's cool is the client can see it too. And sometimes it's on our side, and sometimes it's on the client side, but we've got our clients back. If our client is not pulling their weight or doing, whatever they've committed to themselves and us as far as money or income or revenue or goals, we're not shy of reminding them. Like, hey, you said you wanted to get from X to 2X. Well, this path does not get you to 2X. And the good news is it's the math gets to be the bad guy rather than us. We're nobody's boss and we're nobody's, coach. But the numbers don't lie. And so when you do a good job with those accountability calls and you're capturing all the activity and all the numbers and all the results, everybody can have an honest conversation as to really where the value is and where the problems are. One analogy that I'll say real quick that I heard it once and I'll never forget it. I have a buddy that has a small plane, and ever since he's like probably 60, when he was early 20s, he was like a flight instructor. And what he told me one time, we were having cigars and tequila. He was a good friend and like a business coach of mine. His name is George. He's an awesome dude. George told me that he knew a bunch about aviation because he's been a flight instructor for like 30 or whatever years. He says when planes crash, it's never the plane is flying and then wing falls off and then crash. He says like it's almost never that. What happens is it is a confluence of like a dozen tiny, minuscule, almost unnoticeable or inconsequential by themselves chain of events. So it's that one day where, yeah, it's a little cloudy, but it's within range of whatever pilots need to have with, cloudiness. And then it's that one day where they're pulling away from the gate. They're inside, they're pulling out of gate range window, but they're cutting it close. They got to like pull out in the next, 10 seconds or else, they miss their window of launch or whatever. And it's that one day where the one gauge, it's fine, but it's like, at the 10th year of that gauge's life, and they need to be replaced in year 11, but it's fine. You see what I'm saying? So none of these things, when you look at them, none of them are problems. Not one of them is a problem, a bug, an error, something's broke. None of them. But when you add 27 of those things up, that's what happens. That's when the gauge goes weird and you were kind of rushed and the gas tank was a little bit of this and the precipitation was a little bit of this and then boom, plane crash. And so it's typically like dozens of these little tiny microscopic things that you have to go forensically study and then try to figure out, well, why did the plane crash? And he says that's usually what happens. That makes a lot of sense to me because that's how marketing works. When you're not good when there's an inefficiency, it's so tiny, and it's also inefficiency if you're looking at the numbers that you're looking at it that day, like that moment, that hour, that day. So that moment, that hour, that day, it means kind of nothing. But if that same number is kind of not very efficient, not really that great, but it's not that bad, and then you compound that over weeks and months, you got yourself an inefficient system. So our golden ratio it's really nothing special other than measuring all of that stuff. Everything that can be done in the wholesale business on the sales and marketing side is captured and measured. And we also know what the numbers should be. We know what good numbers are and what bad numbers are. Recently, and Anthony, I love you, brother, yep. But we recently invented a metric because of Anthony. We love you. You're one of our favorite clients, dude. So don't kill me. I'm glad you're in Atlanta.
Hey, I hope you name it after me, then.
Well, we have to some degree. It's called the hustle ratio, and the hustle ratio is this: when you pay a digital marketing firm to produce leads, if you don't call those leads right away, it's the inefficiency starts to creep up. Yeah. But if you don't make appointments on those same leads quickly, the inefficiency continues to grow. When you don't make offers on those same leads, you see where this is going. It drives this inefficiency. So the hustle ratio, I believe, if I remember, is number of offers divided by number of leads times 100 to make it a percentage. And so now we always know within the week, if we send you 10 leads and you make one offer, 1 over 10 is 10%. It doesn't necessarily mean anything is good or bad or right or wrong. What it means is that it's measured and it's watched. Mm-hmm. And so now we can see when one of our clients, if they're hustling or not. And if we're sending them tons of leads and they're not making offers because they're constantly disqualifying them, no motivation, no equity, it was a mobile home, it was a robo-dial or whatever, all what we know with that hustle ratio is it gives us that opportunity to measure, quantify, and then dig into it. So we can go into those 7 days. We can look at all those leads. We listen to every one of the phone calls. So when our leads call with our system, all calls are recorded and we listen to all of them. We also score all of them. So it's important to know that there's some intellectual property behind the scenes. There's me, if you will. It's not really me, but it's my strategy, if you will. Thinking about what should when a phone call happens, what's a good phone call, what's not a good phone call, what is motivation, what is not motivation, what is equity, what is not equity, what's a lead, what's not a lead. So all of those phone calls we listen, and when our client is getting leads, making offers quickly and efficiently, the hustle ratio goes up. If you get 10 leads and you make 10 offers, 10 over 10 is 100%.
That's right.
Interestingly enough, which is kind of a beneficial side consequence that I didn't really anticipate early, is that we could send you 10 leads, but you could in theory make 20 offers. So 20 divided by 10 is 200%. What that would then mean is that you're going back to previous leads and making follow-up offers. And I don't see anybody in the country who does a really good job of it. I'm not saying nobody does it. I'm saying when I make these phone calls and I try to drill down into who makes money with leads that are greater than 90 days old or 4 months or 6 months, something arbitrary, I don't know anybody in the country who makes bucks doing that well efficiently. So I have a bit of I'm kind of calling people to the mat when they say that they do follow-up. If you might do follow-up, I don't see anybody making money with follow-up. that's where it's supposed to be, is you want to make money with follow-up. Everybody can throw stuff into a drip system. How much money does your drip system make? That's what it's all about. So we're building more of these numbers and these metrics, really not to make anybody upset, but just to hold everybody accountable so that we can drive the most efficient leads to the most efficient flipper and the most efficient geos over time. I realize I talk too much. I got to get water.
You got to get some water.
Very good.
No, you're good, man. No, I was actually about to say I got to jump off and head to this airport. Otherwise, I'll be staying another night in Cleveland.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Bill Bro and Qasim will definitely be able to.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you putting this platform together, and and like I said, it's been a blessing to come across Greg and Qasim, and just for what they've been able to do for my business. So I'm just excited for what the rest of the year is gonna bring, and we'll do another one of these calls, maybe another couple months, and retrack some numbers again and see how close we are to that 2x.
Yes, baby. 2x.
Top of Kilimanjaro. That's
right. Yeah.
2x.
2x, baby. That's right. But hey, guys,
appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No problem, man. And again, thanks again for putting on this podcast and Facebook Live, man. I'm definitely excited about it.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. We'll catch you soon.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bill Burr, to close quickly on that hustle ratio, would you make the argument that an operator or company's hustle ratio should always be over 100%, assuming they're making offers and all their leads and they're making follow-up offers as well? And I want to get Qasim in here. I want to get Qasim in here as well soon. He's been waiting. I want to get him some insight from him too, and then mine is.
It's a good question. The answer is no. I cannot yet say that there's a correct hustle ratio number. What I can say very comfortably is the lack of a number is an absolute absurd business decision. Right? To not watch it, to not manage it, to not quantify it, to not know it is like business theft. It's just like, how could you not? It just drives me bananas. So what I know is I need to see the number, and I need to see what lots of operators have as far as hustle ratio, because I know if you get 10 leads, not all 10 of them are people selling a house. I'm sure there's one goofball who's a landscaper. So yeah, you probably don't need to make an offer on the landscaper guy who's just trying to mow your yard. I just know that I wanted to build a number and then start measuring it and quantifying it so that I can better understand what is a good number. Plus, different markets will be different business models will be different, but the lack of a number is the big problem that we wanted to solve.
Gotcha. So yeah, just being conscious of that number and seeing it every week is powerful in itself for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Qasim, as far as closing on Anthony, what do you have to say, man? Powerful client you have there, hustle ratio.
Yeah, I love Anthony. Anthony's he's really good for us because he's an effective delegator. I think all business owners, myself included, can struggle with when they need to interject themselves and when they need to rely on their resources. And Anthony kind of has that figured out perfectly. The guy's really brilliant in a lot of ways, and that's one of them. He knows when to poke and prod. And we need to be poked and prodded just like every one of your other vendors. You know, you have to inspect what you expect, and he does that really well. But he also knows when to kind of back off and let us have our space in our room. And I think that's a really big reason for some of his early success is he's just the perfect partner. So it's helpful to have. I actually want to revisit something Bilbro just said with his hustle ratio. Greg, since I've known him, has been obsessed with numbers. And if he has a superpower, that's definitely it. I think he's like a numbers genius. And it's not even a compliment the way I look at it. It's more like Rain Man, you know what I mean? Like I want to take him to a casino and see what happens. But we've got a few like trains of numbers. He's got the golden ratio that he's talked about, the hustle ratio. Last Tuesday he introduced me and Kevin to the God ratio, which I'm pretty sure is just to measure like our efficiency, which I'm afraid of because he's going to walk me like that doesn't do anything. But I want to bring it up because his input is the reason I think our marketing campaign works so well. It's watching the data and then using the data to pipe back into the marketing engine. We watch the data on the marketing end, but for most of my clients, and I mean 99 out of 100 of them, it ends when I send the lead. And so doing some of the stuff that Greg's talking about, if there's a takeaway for our listeners, I wouldn't even say the takeaway is to hire us. I think it's one of them. But before you do that, I think the takeaway is to start really measuring and managing those data sets. Because if you don't have that information and you're not willing to track that information over time, it dilutes the efficacy of somebody like me or Greg to even help you. So, if there were a commitment that if you're watching this now and you're going to make a commitment to yourself to make your business better, that's where I would start. And Greg's got a video with Investor Fuse, I think, on how to do the golden ratio, the hustle ratio he just defined. They're not difficult things. They're brilliant in their simplicity, but they're pretty easy to track. You can do it in an Excel file. You can do it in Investor Fuse. But have it that and bet money, it doesn't pay for itself in a quarter. So that's the challenge I'd like to issue to our listeners. If you don't mind, Carlos, me being a little bold, I just think that's critical. I think it's vital. And you have everything you need to do it. So I think people should start making that happen.
Qasim, 100% agree with that. And I love the transparency that you guys have with that. And I also love how Bilbro in that video Qasim was referring to, it's really a yes or no decision on if someone should hire GeoFlip based on the numbers. What's your cost per deal? Could we get it lower?
Yep.
And I love how Bilbro, I love how you guys both describe that.
Yeah,
cool. We don't. Have you guys? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say we can't take clients that don't work. It hurts our engine. We can't keep clients that don't work. So we're as vested in it as everybody else is to make sure that the marketing's working and that they're making money. Because if they don't, then A, they're not going to be around long enough, and B, it actually hurts our ability to produce leads for other clients. That was it.
Absolutely, guys. Definitely loop back. I'll put that in the show notes. The golden ratio video that Bilbro and Qasim both did. Also, we just released our Investor Fuse REI Marketing Masterclass. These two are both on it and really dive into current market, working with it. Awesome stuff. So definitely check out this site here, reimarketingmasterclass.com. I'm going to put your guys' website on there too, geoflip.com.
Yep.
GeoFlip.com. The whole Investor Fuse team vouches for these guys. Transparent, empathetic guys. know their numbers, know how to work with you. And I honestly love the accountability. When I've been on calls with both you guys and someone I'm trying to connect you with, I love the accountability factor that you guys bring to the table, both from your own marketing numbers and then working with them to see their sales numbers. So real powerful stuff.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. To close out, any words from the famous Bilbro or Qasim?
I would say this, you Investor Fuse guys and gals, you guys are a great group. We really appreciate this opportunity. We're a small business. You guys are a small business. And so we just appreciate you guys giving us an opportunity to be in front of a good group of people. We know a lot of the Investor Fuse, obviously you corporate guys, but we also know a lot of your clients. And it's just a super cool community. The Facebook page and all the things that you guys are building and what you and Dan and John are up to. You're just a good group, and you guys help us out a lot. You put us in a good position and a good spot to help us position us well to help others. So it's just I just want to say thanks for that. And then of course a small shameless plug. But I think we have 9 cities out of the whole country that are taken. We offer geo-exclusivity. So like Qasim said, we don't do 2 clients in one city. We really commit and focus. We want to know, love, and trust our client. We want to know about your golf score and your grandkids to some degree. I mean, that's not hyperbole. I don't want to have 1,000 clients. I'd like to have 50 badass, kick-ass clients who flip 200 houses a year and make $5 million each. That is a super cool business that I want to build. So right now, I think we have about 9 cities that are. Kevin
just chimed in and said 11 cities.
11 cities. Okay. Hey, we got 2 cities.
We did it.
But there's probably about 50 or so, give or take, that we really have our eyes on. So we've got a lot of places to go. I think the next 10 cities that we commit to, or next 10 clients that we commit to in cities that are available, we're probably going to make some super cool sweetheart deal. I don't know exactly what that is. But the first 10 qualified operators and geos, because they both need to be good. It needs to be the right people in the right geo. We're probably going to do something where the offer is such that the operator can't say no. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't know the numbers because I don't want to say anything by accident. But we really want to put our flag down in the United States. And so we're growing and we're hungry. So anybody that would like help in marketing or growing their business, give us a buzz.
Awesome. Best place to reach out to you guys, geoflip.com.
Yeah, you guys are geoflip.com.
Awesome. And another reminder, check out reimarketingmasterclass.com. Thank you guys for checking this out, and we'll catch you next time. Hopefully we'll do another case study on Anthony, maybe after quarter 2 here. That'd be cool.
Sounds
good.
good.
Definitely do that.
All right, gentlemen. Talk to you soon. Thank you again. Very much appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Carlos. Bye, guys.